actually just did a Facebook Live, right? About praying for the people in this season, this holiday season, this past holiday season.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah. How was that?
Well, the Lord told me to do it a week before. And I've lost a lot of people in my family this year. I know a lot of other people that lost family. So he put it on my heart. He said, you need to pray for those that are still mourning and grieving. I said, say no more. And I said, Christmas Eve. That's perfect timing. And I set the time, and I just did what he asked me to do. And I got a lot of great feedback, how they needed it, right on time. They're just going through. They said, thank you. So work was done.
So where do you think this ministry came from you? Like, did you grow up in church? Like, where did it come from? How were you inspired to do what you're doing?
Well, I grew up in church.
Okay.
My mom and then my auntie, she was Baptist, so I was raised in a Baptist church. But I believe as I grew up to find out networking and being around different women, I think it probably started in high school. I noticed we never came together as in love. It was always when you see a woman coming in agreement with somebody, it was to fight. If they're jealous of who they're talking to, how a person looks or what they have. So I said, I need to have something where we come together in the sisterhood and that a movement can start so we can come together and love on one another, to encourage, to inspire, because we're mothers, we're wives, we're sisters, we're daughters, and we wear a lot of hats. You know, sometimes you need an outlet just to share your testimony with somebody, to let your hair down, just to laugh, to get a hug. So that's why God put it on my heart to start the ministry.
So when you were younger, did you have any trouble making friends?
No.
You didn't? You were the one that's all like, come on, come on, let's do this. Let's be friends.
The goofy one.
Okay.
The one that just busts out singing out of nowhere. Okay. I was a tomboy, so I was very active in sports.
I was too. I was too. Still to this day, and I have some. And
it's funny because I didn't get girly until maybe my junior year in high school.
Okay.
I was boyish. The baggy Tommy Hilfiger polos.
You was looking. You had your Aaliyah going on
with the wrap, with that little white line on my eye.
Really,
girl. So junior year, I started getting girly, nails and all that kind of stuff.
You know, I don't know when it hit me, but I stopped playing basketball in the 8th grade freshman year. Yeah, but I still have it in me. Like, I prefer a jogging suit and some tennis shoes.
Ooh, especially on the weekend.
And you know what? You couldn't tell. Like, I could not tell that from you.
On the weekend, if I'm not going to like an event or anything, I like wearing yoga pants and a t-shirt, my ministry t-shirt and some like Air Max.
Gotcha.
Or Ugg boots.
Gotcha.
Just relax. Baseball cap.
I
like it. It's relaxing.
Yeah.
Because my job, I have to wear business casual.
All the time.
Yeah. So I don't really get a chance to. So.
Right. And that bun. That bun is life.
Thank you.
That bun is life.
I need my hair done.
You realize that it's always conflict between women and girls. Like, what's going on with that? Like, growing up in your home, and I know mom, sister, like, how was that? Because how was that leading you to what you're doing now?
My sisters.
Yeah.
They fought each other all the time.
Okay.
I'm the oldest. So my middle sister and my younger sister, they always fought. They shared the same room and just couldn't see eye to eye on, that's my clothes and you got my stuff. And they will fight all the time. Like, this is not normal. This is not how sisters supposed to act towards each other. So I think it started from there, seeing it in the home first and then seeing it out in the community. I'm like, something has to give. This is it's toxic. It's toxic. It's not, it's so negative. You know?
When you had arguments, because we've all had arguments with women, what was it about and how did you troubleshoot through that?
Ooh.
Mainly, overall, what was it,
Boys.
Okay.
Like, well, in high school, the girls would never come to me directly. It'd be their way, so I turn the corner in the hall, and I would hear stuff out loud. So that wouldn't be one. It was always like a guy. A girl said, that's my man. I mean, just crazy stuff. But I never got in. God would never let me interact to have an altercation. Like, it would never, like...
I like how you brought that in, because for me, I've never really experienced a lot of drama with women. And so then the times that I had experienced, it was like, okay.
Or it was when I used to be in the world, going to the club,
Okay.
getting a little tipsy.
Yeah.
I would be the sister, the one that would start the first push. And,
Really?
yeah, then it would get, yeah. So
Really?
it wasn't no.
But God's unchanging hands.
Yes. And I was the one that would start stuff.
God's unchanging
deliberate.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
When do you think that you started to pivot and started to change? Even before you know, I know you said rededicated, but when do you think that you started to change and mold into the woman God has called you to be?
When my son was around 7, so I was 27 years old, and my son's father went off to prison. And I wasn't spiritual at all then, so it was like out of sight, out of mind. I was able to focus on me, and I worried about what he was doing, trying to follow his shadow. I had an opportunity to find out, who is Marienda? What is my purpose? What am I here to do? So I had a time to do some self-reflection, and that's when my auntie said, come to church with me. I hadn't been to church in a long time. Went to church. I started attending often. Then I just gave my life back to God.
That's amazing. So, that transition and that pivot at 27 years old. And so today, leading up to today, like, how has that journey been? So that was at 27, and some years later, how has that journey been?
The journey has been a very, like a learning process for me. I had to learn what prayer really meant. I had to know, to really find out who God was, how He's my Father. He loves me more than anybody. I had to learn about Him, to seek Him. A lot of praying, a lot of meditation. I learned how to fast. So everything that incorporates with you living a holy life, I had to learn. Because, again, I was out in the streets, and I just rededicated my life, some years ago. So it was just a learning process. I found out who I was, what my purpose is, and I thank God that I followed what He told me to do. I didn't do it right away, because a lot of people run when they know it's a calling on their lives, and God tell them.
Why do you think people run?
The fear of, it's not.
Because that is true, running. But why do you think we run?
I think we run because it's something we never done before. Out of the ordinary. It's change. We don't like change. We like to do things we normally like to do, and we know we do it well. We comfortable. We just want to sit back. But it's greater. So I had to, after a year of sitting, and I know God told me to start the ministry, I went to a church service, and the pastor said, what are you waiting on? What has God called you to do? And I put my head in like, ooh, he talking to me. He talking to anybody else here? I felt so convicted. Wow. And then from that day forward.
Convicted. And
yes.
So I've heard of that word, but like, what does that mean, convicted? How does that make you feel?
It was like guilt.
Okay.
I felt ashamed because I knew what I was supposed to do, and I was running, and I couldn't do it anymore. I had to be obedient. So, and that's when I started researching where I could have events that was cost efficient. I'm like, the library. I researched the library. They don't charge to have events, using them as long as you don't, have anybody, selling any items or things of that sort. So I started using the library. I learned how to do flyers, and I just, from there it was.
So the name, God's Unchanging Hand Women's Movement.
I was in prayer.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Was I asleep? I think I was asleep, and He woke me up. And I always keep a notebook by my bed because He reveals things to me in dreams and in visions and things of that sort. So He gave me the name. He said, I woke up, He said, the name of your ministry is going to be called God's Unchanging Hands Women's Ministry. And then my husband was like, well, honey, this is not just a ministry, this is a movement. I'm like, I didn't think about it that way. So I said, okay.
Wait a minute. You added husband to the mix. So you're going to have to introduce us. Husband.
Yes.
How did that
come in?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did that come into that, that movement and that whole transition in your life?
Okay. So, remember I was saying.
And the support is amazing.
Yes. So, remember how I was saying how I would visit church with my auntie?
Yes.
My now husband, he was the musician there. He was over praise and worship. So, I met him in church. and he was in a situation then, so we were just friends at the time, and things happened, and him and his first wife, they got divorced, things of that sort. So we were always just friends, and I was abstinent since my son's father, so it was 4 years. Me just focusing on God, not doing anything, not going on dates. I was just strictly focused on God. And during that time, we were always, friends and things of that sort. And once everything was finalized with him, I had to make sure everything was settled. I don't do, that kind of stuff. We started dating. And I've been knowing him for a while. So we started dating, and then it's so weird because out of all my sisters, I was the one that was running from marriage. I'm not getting married. That ain't for me. Y'all gonna get married before me, that. And then I end up being the first one.
Okay.
But I didn't move on any type of marriage or anything until I got confirmation from God first. I'm a strong believer of you have to get an answer from him first before you move, because if you don't, you can end up being hurt and being in something you shouldn't have been in the first place.
Now Kevin's in the picture, and then Kevin's beside you saying, baby, this is not just a ministry. This is a movement.
Because I was doing this a year prior to us getting married. So I'm like, that does sound better. So then I switched the ministry to movement, which I believe it's movement. It's movement.
It is a movement. It's a movement.
Nations.
Nations. So with it being a movement, share some of the activities that share some of the activities that you ladies do.
So we come together bi-monthly, and I choose different venues. I typically use libraries. It's always on a Saturday because, a lot of people work Monday through Friday. And I make sure that whatever venue I use, it is on the bus line because everybody doesn't have their own means of transportation. So we come together for around 2 hours. On Saturday, I typically have a theme, and then I have an order of service. So during these events and workshops, I have a keynote speaker. I have someone that will give a testimony. We have poetry, singing, praise dancing, raffle giveaways, and there's always finger food. We just come together and we fellowship.
You have a full-fledged program.
Yeah, every other month. And then if it changes, it changes. Let God have his way.
That is so beautiful. And so women and girls are coming.
Yes.
And then how are they getting connected with you to come?
I push social media like this, and then word of mouth. And where I work at, I'm given an opportunity to talk to people as well, and then share, and then they come as well. So it's basically word of mouth and me just pushing the flyers, and I go live like 2 weeks before the event. I'm like, hey, you don't want to miss it. And
I love the support. I've noticed the support you have with the pictures that I've seen and the gatherings, and it's just amazing. It seems like that the family support is super strong, super strong.
My mom is my right hand. She always comes before and helps me set up. My sister, she's typically she does my icebreaker. Sometimes she MCs, and then my baby sister comes and supports whenever she's available. And my son, when he's home, he'll come help decorate the room, help take everything down. Sometimes he will sit at the desk and have people, sign in and things of that sort. So I have a strong...
I love that generation to generation of women and helping.
And my niece.
To fulfill the vision.
My little niece.
Yeah.
She does my raffle giveaways. She would give them their gift and things of that sort. Family, very family oriented. And I know if it was for me, he would definitely be there. So
yes,
strong support.
That's beautiful.
And then my husband does my equipment, sound system. So he comes and does that for me too. So
you just got it made, huh?